Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women in Motorsports. Joe Santiago here, along with Daniel Zeri from Racers, the girls behind the helmet. Have several racing drivers to talk about today. And of course, we want to give a big thank you to our Patreon, Colin, Michelle, and Mark, for keeping us on the air. Be sure to invest in the Grid Network, link in the video description to join our Patreon page or do a one-time contribution through Buy Me a Coffee, and of course, all the information on gridranking.com. Daniel, I know we had a pretty busy weekend when it comes to some of the racing, but one of the big stories that stole a lot of the headlines was the Iron Danes and Doriane Pin.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. As you mentioned last weekend, it was the first round of the GT World Challenge Europe, the Endurance Cup actually, because the series is divided into the Endurance Cup and to the Sprint Cup. It's a 10 event calendar overall, and we have 5 events for the endurance race and five others for the sprint ones. And Iron Dames this year will join the championship for the first time in the Endurance Cup. Um, Also, last year they entered a couple of one-off events, namely at Barcelona and the season finale, and also at Paul Ricard for the 1,000 kilometer of Le Castellet, which is also going to be the next round in June. So it wasn't really their debut, but it was the full season debut for them. And that is probably one of the most competitive GT and GT3 based series overall worldwide. So that's a pretty big deal for them. We had again obviously the same team that is also doing the FIA WEC and the European Le Mans Series, which is the trio composed by Michel Gatting, Sarah Bovey, and Rahel Fry, who was also the team leader actually. They had a pretty strong debut in free practice, especially also in the bronze rated practice sessions on Friday, which is a special session also only for bronze rated drivers. And Sarah Bovey was in the overall top 5 in that session. So this really shows how big of a potential this trio has, even though it's a very competitive series. And in qualifying, there were 3 15-minute sessions. First one was done by Rahel Fry, and she had a mega session. She finished P4 in the gold class, and she was also the fastest Ferrari overall. So that was quite something. And then Sarah Bowie had the second session. Again, she was pretty fast, even though there were a lot of red flags and interruptions, because with 53 cars on track, that's always and also on a short and quite twisty track like Imola is. It was quite challenging for everyone to keep it on track. So there was quite a lot of red flags and full course yellow throughout the weekend, from practice to qualifying, and also into the 3-hour race on Sunday. So Sarah Bovey also had a pretty strong qualifying session, and then it was the final one for Michel Gatting. There were 2 more red flags in the final, in the Q3. But still, they could manage to finish 4th in the gold class in quali, and that was very encouraging for Sunday. Unfortunately, on the first lap of the race, coming to the Rivazza corner, which is like the downhill section going towards the final corner, Sarah was squeezed a little bit on the inside. She decided to go for it, and she was pushed onto the grass. Unfortunately, she spun out, and then got collected by one of the McLarens that were incoming from obviously, as I mentioned, 53 cars. So you can easily imagine in the first lap, and in the hectic first stages of a race like that, was quite difficult for the others to avoid the spinning car on the grass. And that was That was it for them. A lot of damage to the front end of the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo, and real shame for everyone because it's not great to end a race like that in a very competitive environment like that. But that's motorsport. That's what happens sometimes, and they will be ready for the next one in Le Castellet in June. Obviously, the series will go to Brands Hatch for the second round, which is only for the Sprint Cup entrance. But Iron Dames will be back in France, in the south of France, in Le Castellet in June. But there was not everything for Iron Dames last weekend, because they were also in Portimao, Portugal, at Circuito of the Algarve, where Doriane Pin was making her debut in the Ferrari Challenge. She also had done a one-off event last year at the World Finals in Mugello. But it was the first time that she's entering full season for her as well. And of course, Iron Dames started off where they left, because last year Michelle had won the championship, the European Championship, and Doriane is trying obviously to repeat her teammates' results this year, and she started great because she was leading in practice, P1 in practice, topped qualifying, 2 pole positions, 2 race victories. But the real news was that they were not just victories, but they were like dominant victories. She was leading from the start to flag. At one point, like in 7-second gap from the closer pursuers. So I think it's a really great start for Doriane. I've spoken with Michelle Gatting about Doriane in last weekend, and she told me that she's really talented, of course, but it's a season where she has to learn the racecraft. She's done very well, and she's great in single lap performance, but she's trying to maximize her potential in race conditions. And I think this weekend in Portimao really showed how well she can do. And if she can keep this momentum going into the next rounds, we're going to see another Iron Dames finishing at the top in the Ferrari One Mike Series at the end of this year.
Very exciting to hear now. During the double poles, getting that win, it has to be a huge moment for her career. Definitely big congratulations to her and of course for the Iron Danes. Very unfortunate to have that kind of luck in motorsports where you're towards the front, the first laps are just treacherous all the time in any series I could think of. So definitely we'll see what happens as they continue on their sports car series season for 2022. Now switching over to a sport we don't cover too much, the National Hot Rod Association. They don't do laps; they are just drag racing, quarter mile or shorter from the green light straight to the finish. Biggest thing is reaction time. Again, that top speed down. And one driver that has been doing the best at that for quite some time is Brittany Force in Top Fuel. She got her first career win in 2017, and then this past weekend at Las Vegas for the Four White Nationals, an event where instead of having 2 lanes, you have 4 lanes of racers competing. She took her first win of 2022, and this elevates her to second place in Top Fuel standings, and she is only 4 points behind Steve Torrance for the points lead in Top Fuel. She won the 2016 Top Fuel champion, becoming the second female racer to win the championship, joining Shirley Muldowney. Now, of course, Top Fuel is the fastest class in NHRA's competition. These are the cars that has a huge wing in the back, small thin body that looks something like a fighter jet with a wing up front, and the very tiny wheels, very large wheels in the back. So Brittany Force getting her first win of 2022 at Las Vegas. She has won this event before. So now all out surprise, and of course one of the big things, trying to win a second championship. Still early in the season, but she's only 4 points behind. I believe she could get that done. And another racer, Erica Enders, she is a past champion of Pro Stock and has multiple wins. Well, she got her first win of 2022 at Las Vegas as well. She is a 4-time Pro Stock NHRA champion, and last year she was going for three in a row when it comes to Pro Stock championships, but just came up short. So she's trying to get her fifth championship in essentially 4 years. So it's going to be really exciting. Excuse me, third championship in 4 years. So it's going to be very exciting to see if she could get that done. With her win, she is only 3 points behind Erin Stanfield in the standings for Pro Stock class. And Pro Stock class, as the name suggests, closest to stock cars on direct drag strip, but they're still heavily modified with the safety stuff and getting the top speed. You can see there her top speed 215 miles per hour. Now over in funny cars, we did have Alexis DeJoria. She made it to the final round, trying to get her first win of the year. Just came up short. She has 8 career wins in the NHRA competition, and she is currently sixth place in the points. So overall, good work for Alexis. And of course, Leia Priel was just one of many female racers that was competing in Las Vegas this past weekend. The National Hot Rod Association, we don't talk about them too often, but they have a lot of female racers as well as black racers that we follow as well. So we encourage everyone to be sure to check out the NHRA. Their next race weekend will be April 22nd through the 24th, the Spring Nationals in Houston. So a few weeks time before we see the drag racers back on the grid again. And of course, one of the drivers that we've seen is always fast, has to be Quick Gabby.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely correct. She was also in EMA last weekend for the start of the European GT4 Championship. She's racing this year in a brand new team, which is a ZVO Dragger Corsa. Always racing with a teammate that she was also competing last year, American racer Robert Haub. They switched team, which is kind of a part of the same team that they were racing last year, Zach Speed. They are entering this new adventure with this German team, and of course switching over from the ADA GT4 Championship in Germany to the European one. So a little bit of a step up from them. Even though last year they had a test race at the Nürburgring for in the European one. They did very well, so they decided to do a double program this year. They also have competed and won in the GT Winter Series that we reported on in the past weeks. And so it was actually their very first international race in IMA last weekend. They started pretty well, even though they had a bit of a rocky start in practice because of a rear suspension issue, which kind of put them on the wrong foot for qualifying because Gabi didn't have the time to practice, to test on new tires, on a new set of tires, which is obviously crucial for qualifying. Also in this championship, they are racing in the Pro Am class. So there's a pro driver, and which is in this case is Gabi, and the Am driver is Robert. And so Gabriela was in Q1 with all the very competitive pro drivers. Also 49 cars on track in this series. Very crowded. Also here a lot of red flags, of interruptions, and full course yellow throughout the weekend. And especially in quali, it's difficult because, of course, in a difficult track like that, it's tough to get the right amount of space and not of track time to put together a lap in quali and in a short session like 10 or 15 minutes, like usually qualifying is in these series. So Gabi had a little bit more of a challenging qualifying because, of course, she didn't have the proper practice with the new tires. Qualifying in P30, which is not great overall. Just was not particularly great, but Robert had a better second qualifying. Qualifying in P18 over 49 cars, so not bad at all. And then really in races they were doing some great stuff, some great moves, and they managed to recover a lot of places on Saturday, where they finished P7 in Pro Am, and on Sunday they did a little bit better, even were P6. Even though Robert was probably not super happy because he had the car in the second in the second stint, and Gabi really had managed the tires very well. So he had pretty much new tires at the end of the stint, while the guys in front were really struggling for tires. So if it wasn't for a late safety car at the end, they were probably among the fastest on track. They would probably have finished even higher, even better. So it was a little bit frustrating by that because of two very short safety cars toward the end, which hampered a little bit their chances to get in the top five. Gabriela also was in the top five at one point. Also, the Mercedes AMG GT4 was a little bit disadvantaged from a BOP point of view, so they were lacking a little bit of top speed on the straights compared to some other brands. But still, I think it's really encouraging. First race, first round, also long season. They will be at Oschersleben in Germany this weekend. They are preparing for the ADAC GT4, which they did last year, and they will be doing again this year with good chances, I think, for podium finishes. And this year they'll be doing the GTC ADAC race, which is a kind of a preparation race, which also Kelly Schreiner is entering, even though she has still not announced all their plans yet. There will be Gabi and also another driver who's Vivian Schöllhorn, another German racer, doing this preparation race for the ADAC Championship, which are starting at Oschersleben in 2 weeks' time. So I think pretty busy season for Gabi, but they started off pretty well despite the difficult qualifying. Still managed to get a lot of positions in the first and second race. And I think we can definitely see her stepping on the podium in the near future.
Very excited to see her potential for podiums in the near future. So it's going to be really exciting to follow Quick Gabby. And of course, as we talk about each driver, you can follow them on social media and definitely support them. Now, unfortunately, with the next story, it's a case of social media and it's not being used for good intentions. This past weekend, Haley Deegan skipped the Freedom 500 race. They allegedly received several death threats from a person close to Haley Deegan's house where she lives with her boyfriend, Chase. The couple is located in North Carolina, and unfortunately, this all occurred when the person responded to a fake account pretending to be Haley Deegan on social media. In this fake account, the user is accusing Haley Deegan's boyfriend of beating up Haley Deegan, pretending that Haley Deegan is a victim of domestic violence, domestic abuse. Even one time posting, "My boyfriend gave me a broken jaw." Unfortunately, this is all not true. This is a fake account. When it comes to racers like Haley Deegan, you can find a blue check mark or somewhere where it mentions that it is the official account and a link to that racer's website, social media pages as well, where it connects to Facebook or others. But usually there are multiple ways to verify. Now, while most of the fans have been aware this is a fake account, ignoring it, some fans are getting cited and, of course, unfortunately turning to violence or threatening violence against Haley Deegan's boyfriend. Haley Deegan and the boyfriend released a video stating that this was a catfish. Simply put, a catfish is a deceptive activity where a person creates a fictional persona or fake identity on social media. It could sometimes be used just to make a alias to be anonymous. This user is using Haley Deegan's name and image to pretend they're Haley Deegan. Sometimes we've seen this for scams such as asking for money, getting people to click on a link, but unfortunately in this case, this has really gotten ugly to the point where local authorities were called out to Haley Deegan's home to just monitor and keep the couple safe for the night as they had received death threats from a person that once again was close to the couple's North Carolina home. No charges have been yet filed, and of course, this is still a developing story, but this is just unfortunate that we see this kind of stories on social media, and we just encourage all our fans, be sure If you follow any racers, female, male, any celebrities, follow their 100% verified account. Twitter, there's a blue check mark. A lot of places are reliant on that blue check mark. If you can't verify it that way, there are multiple options, such as click on a link, see if it goes to the website. Generally, a celebrity eraser on their website, they'll have a link to all their social media accounts and even their racing series. For example, the NHRA, if you click on a driver's bio, you will find links to their social media pages, whether it's Twitter, Instagram. No reason to be ignorant and follow accounts that claims to be somebody that they're not. So it's really unfortunate that Haley Deegan had to miss the Freedom 500. She will be in Martinsville this weekend racing for the Truck Series. I encourage everyone to be sure to visit the website behindthehelmet.com. There you can get a full listing of all the races coming up, including IndyCar. We have Long Beach, in which we also got Catherine Legg at IMSA competing, and then a full lineup of all the racing coming up. So we're very excited for this upcoming weekend of motorsports. Daniel, when it comes to some of the big races you're following this weekend, what are some of the big ones that you're going to be following?
As you mentioned, IndyCar probably Long Beach, really historical track. So I would definitely say that that's the top end of this weekend. Also, NLS, which you could see on the page, was high on the list. Unfortunately, it was cancelled yesterday, so no Germany for us this weekend for the NLS race of the Nürburgring Langstrecken series. Where there were quite a lot of interesting drivers. For example, former W Series racer Caitlin Wood, she had made her debut just a couple of weeks ago at the Nordschleife. And she did very well. She was fifth in her first race there. But also Laura Kreihammer was going to Nordschleife for the first time this year in the KTM. Then we had Rima Jufali, who was supposed to make her debut at the Nordschleife. She has just made her endurance debut in this January's 24-hour of Dubai. And so I think she's going for a full season for a full season in GT this year, which kind of makes sense for her. So we were really looking forward to see her making her first race, first start at the Green Hell. Unfortunately, it's not meant to be because it's snowing in Germany. The race, ironically, has been moved to November. So at the Nürburgring is probably gonna snow even more in November. But yeah, the NLS will get its second round started in a couple of weeks' time. But we have IMSA, we have IndyCar in Long Beach, so I think still plenty of stuff to see. Also, as you mentioned, NASCAR in both the truck race with Haley Deegan and also the Xfinity race with Natalie Decker this weekend. She's back. So I think it's still a pretty decent schedule. Also in Daytona, we have the Ferrari Challenge North America with Samantha Tan. She's going back to the Ferrari machinery after winning the 12-hour of Mugello 2 weeks ago with the BMW M4 GT3. So changing machinery, hopefully the same outcome. We will see some race wins for Samantha as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Samantha will be really excited to follow her, of course, as always. And of course, you can visit the website racersbehindthehelmet.com. Get all the stories from the upcoming weekend and past weekend as well too. So we encourage everyone to visit the website and definitely thank everyone for tuning in to today's program. We once again want to thank our Patreon subscribers for keeping us on the air. You too can invest in the Grid Network by joining our Patreon or buy me a coffee. Link in the video description and visit all our social media pages, including on Twitter and TikTok, where we just released this week's pick a winner. In total, we have 11 races all going on from Formula One, Formula E, Supercars, IndyCar, MotoGP, NASCAR, and Australian Supercars. It's going to be a very full weekend on the Grid Network as we have Grid tonight, later tonight with Kobe and Adam, and then we have Saturday Grid Live pre-race. It's going to be hard to cover 11 races. We'll figure a plan out, but then Sunday we'll wrap it all up right here on the Grid Network. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For Daniel's Area Racers and Girls Behind the Helmet, I'm Joe Samaniego. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GridNet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.